Hello and welcome to this little tutorial on English text analysis. First of all, we have to ask, what is a text analysis? A text analysis is an examination of different or special aspects of a text. First aspect is the writer's intention. We have to find out what is the message of the text. And what does he aim for? The author could, for example, inform about a certain topic. He could also explain something. He could argue, or he could discuss a topic. What is the difference between argue and discuss? Well, the difference is that if you argue on something, you just see it from one perspective. If you discuss something, you see it from both sides. So you name pro and contra arguments. The second thing, or the second aspect, is the so-called level of interest. So, are there any interesting facts? Or a special opinion? Number 3. The degree of objectivity. So, how objective is this text? Of course, that depends a little bit on the source. If you have a scientific magazine, for example, you could basically assume that the text is very objective. If you have a tabloid paper, for example, from the yellow press, or if you have the Bild newspaper, for example, you could say objectivity does not play a big role. However, if we want to discuss objectivity in a text, if you want to analyze it, you have to have a look at the language. So, is the language formal? Is the language colloquial? Or are there any phrases that express opinions? And of course, you have to look if there are facts and knowledge from experts, or are there opinions and personal views in the text? And what is more? Are there more facts and experts, or are there more opinions and the personal views of the author? So we have facts and opinions versus let me correct this. We don't have facts and opinions. We have facts and experts versus opinions and personal views. The last thing you have to examine is how well the message is communicated. Therefore, have a look at the language. Especially at the choice of words. Are there a lot of scientific terms? Or are there more common words? Of course, you also have to say how well you can understand the text. Of course, this depends a lot on the reader, how smart the reader is, or let me say, what kind of group the reader belongs to. A scientist, for example, may understand a scientific text more easily than, for example, well, a normal person who has nothing to do with science, for example. But a text becomes more understandable if he has, for example, a clear, structured, thoughts or arguments. A text analysis also has a special structure. By the way, this is number 4. The structure of the text analysis. First of all, we have the introduction. In the introduction, we have the first aspect, which is the writer's intention. Of course, you should also name the author, name the source, and the publication date. And then, of course, number 1, the writer's intention. So that's the aspect you write in the introduction of your text analysis. Number 2 is, of course, the main part. In the main part, you write about the points 2, 3, and 4. Remember, the level of interest. Are there any interesting facts? What is the most interesting fact, for example? Are there any special opinions? Maybe opinions that many people see differently, for example. Then number 3, the degree of objectivity. Therefore, you have a look at the language. Is it more formal? Is it more colloquial? Can you find phrases expressing opinions? And then you have to compare how many facts and expert knowledge you have in this text on the one hand, and on the other hand, how many opinions and personal views you have. And of course, number 4, how well the message is communicated. Therefore, again, have a look at the language. Are there scientific words? Are there common words? Yes. And how well can you understand the text? Has it a clear structured thought or arguments? Of course, you also, and this is what I have forgotten earlier, when you have a look at the language, have a look at the sentence structure. And this is important because it also has something to do with that, with how well you can understand the text. A very complicated sentence structure does it not make easy to read and to understand the text, while a too simple sentence structure is also not okay for a clear structured argumentation. Often texts who have very short sentences don't have very good arguments, for example. But back to the structure. So this is what comes in the main part. Of course, every text analysis also needs some kind of conclusion, which is some kind of summary. What have you found out in the main part and in the introduction? So summarize your thoughts, summarize what you have found out in this text analysis. This is the only part where you can also, let me say, comment on the text. And this is something very important. Please don't comment in the text analysis. It's not about expressing your opinion on the text. It doesn't matter if you like the text or not. That's not part of a text analysis. Something that is also very important, so this is my importance marker, is that you write in paragraphs. Your text analysis gets better if you start every new thought of yours with a new paragraph. Also, I want you to use formal language, as you have learned it with a summary. And the most important thing is give examples. This is the most important thing. Therefore, I use 4 exclamation marks, so it must be important. Give examples. Everything that you state about the text, you have to prove. You have to give examples. If you, for example, if you say, for example, that the text is very complicated, that the text is very hard to read, it's not easy to understand, you have to give an example. You can say, for example, that he uses a lot of subordinate clauses, which would be in German Nebensätze, which makes it very hard to read, very hard to follow his argumentation. You could also say, for example, that the text is not very objective because he often expresses his opinion. But then you also have to give an example from the text where he exactly expresses his opinion. Now, boys and girls, I want you to open your English book on page 78. So your English book on page 78. There you can find 2 examples of a text analysis. One that is written very well, and on the other hand, you see one that is written not that good. Okay, so not that well written. So I would suggest that you stop this video now and read both of the texts. Good. Since you have read the texts now, it becomes obviously that text B is, of course, the better text, and text A, on the other hand, has to be improved a lot. Text B is very good because it is all the things that are good for a text analysis. So, text B, check. What is good about text B? Text B has a clear structure. So we have the introduction, we have the main part, and in the end we have the conclusion. And every new thought starts with a new paragraph. It also uses a very formal language. So the author of this text analysis on page 78, text B, uses a very formal language. Compare it to the author of text A, who often expresses his opinion, who often uses phrases that express opinion, like, for example, who wants to read stuff like that? That does not belong to a text analysis, since it shouldn't express your opinion. It is just an analysis which examines, let me say, aspects of the text and not your personal opinion. So this is very good. It has no personal opinion. He also uses examples. And, this is also very important, quotes from the text. And he uses the simple present. And that's the tense a text analysis is written in. Let me come back to text A. Text A, nah, bad. Why is it bad? He definitely mixes up analysis and comment. So, a mix of analysis and comment. He often has personal views. Does not belong into a text analysis. He uses a very informal language. For example, like, question mark. Who wants to read stuff like that? I don't. Well, that's not fine in a text analysis. It's like he's talking to some kind of friend. So he speaks very, let me say, emotionally. And these 3 points make his or her text analysis bad. Good. Your task now is to do the following. Read the text in your book on page 79. So, page 79. And then you take the worksheet screen time and write an analysis. As an example, you should take text B on page 78, which is a very good, a very well-written analysis. Okay, so try to write this analysis, have fun, and, well, goodbye.